A young gynecologist tells you that he is going to perform artificial insemination using the semen of a fantastic donor who resembles Jean-Paul Belmondo right in the treatment room. One donates a kidney to Tim Cook and claims the right to inherit a share of Apple Incorporated corresponding to this kidney's value in approximately 10 years. Protection of donors' rights. Good afternoon, dear friends. Welcome back to our new brief conversation episode. I stand out from the team of embryologists and biologists, since I'm a fertility doctor. Two Sergeis, Dmitry and Irina, have joined us today.
Irina. И наоборот, Ирина, Дмитрий, Сергей, Сергей.
We used to have the following name, Dmitry plus sis Irina. We have got back to it, although one of our Sergeis is different. The first one is a veteran of our team, and the second one is a newcomer. Yes, thus now we have two Sergeis. My colleagues are embryologists and I am a fertility doctor, and today we are about to cover the latest scientific breakthroughs. Fortunately, the science is ever-changing and it's for good. We'll definitely discuss it today. Irina, what are you willing to talk about now? Surely you have a bunch of news to share with us. Seems like our scientific counterparts tend to be a little bit sluggish at present. I was primarily concerned with our law-related news and prospects. In particular, I came across a striking piece of news stating that a US doctor from Colorado had been forced to pay nearly $9 million for using his own biomaterial for patients' fertilization. He used to work in Colorado, didn't he? Yes, he did. Well, it was initiated when we have already mentioned this trend in one of our episodes. People are increasingly issuing their genetic passports in Western countries in search for their ancestors and relatives. As a result, the siblings community is being established. You remember, we tackled this topic a year ago. You mean close relatives, such as brothers, sisters, first and second cousins by siblings. What really matters is a degree of kinship. And then they gradually... A woman once received a letter in which a person stated that she was likely to be their stepsister. This triggered all these discussions. This evidence of repetitive cases was confirmed. As far as I know, this doctor did fertilize the women who had no male partner with his own biomaterial. This information is indicated in a very delicate way. Allegedly, it was a free donation to women who claimed that they hadn't asked for that. They didn't require that the biomaterial of a doctor, of a young medical student or a medical intern be used. Therefore, the government of Colorado decided that anonymous donations will have sunk into oblivion and become public by 2025. The people over 18 who were born thanks to donors' gametes will get access to the information on their donors. Certainly, this law will not be retroactive. The ones who donated their biomaterial before 2025 will remain anonymous. Yes, the information on the donors who got to do it before this date will not be disclosed. Yes, they will remain anonymous until new data emerge. The legislation on donor registries is also being tightened. It stipulates that a woman may not be stimulated more than 6 times as an oocyte donor, whereas a man may not donate his semen to more than 25 families. In a word, the government of Moscow has outperformed the Colorado scientists by introducing QR codes for the entire population, although they have already been abolished for a while. Well, the government of Colorado is now imposing QR codes for donations. A total number of donors will be calculated and registered. Each and every person born in Colorado will be entitled to figure out who their biological parents are. Do you mean the cases of semen replacement? Yes, I do. If it is all about semen replacement, if a person intends to use their own biomaterial maliciously, no donor registry is a way out. Yes, it's just like a pointless use of QR codes. Just imagine a professor came up with this idea, or a young gynecologist tell you that he is going to perform artificial insemination using the semen of a fantastic donor who resembles Jean-Paul Belmondo right in the treatment room. On the other hand, this engenders a conflict of children's interests. They have no clue who their parents are. This should also be conducive to protecting donors' rights. Some of them are still eager to remain anonymous? Well, when the donors' names are disclosed and they are not anonymous any longer, an outflow is likely to happen. It's a major concern of clinics' representatives. The choice may shrink. Fewer people may well apply for a donation because an elaborated legal aspect will be required for that. It is closely related to hereditary factors. It is comparable with a potential organ donation. We all know that if a donor and a recipient have the same blood type, not only gametes but also organs may be donated if needed. It's a crafty trick. One donates a kidney to Tim Cook and then claims the right to inherit a share of Apple Incorporated corresponding to this kidney's value in approximately 10 years. Well, obviously I'm kidding, but the message is the same. Yes, it is comparable. We all know that the USA is a foundry of legal professionals, just like the UK, which has already paved this way. When altruistic surrogacy was endorsed, it was eradicated in the UK. When altruistic non-anonymous donations were introduced, all the donors had to register in the special system. As soon as their children turned 18, they were entitled to take the full name and the place of residence of their biological parents. This put an end to donations in the UK. At present, all the British couples applying for donations are traveling to the European Union, from which the UK has withdrawn, namely to Spain. This is also in store for the USA. A market of medical tourism envisaging that people will travel abroad to obtain donors' material will be established. The Ethics Committee is now trying to impose its high-toned concept of donations. It argues that any donation is a heartfelt impulse, although we know for sure that donations and surrogacies are performed in the UK and the USA just for profit. Yes, people literally donate for commercial reasons. Yes, regrettably, it's a kind of employment. Workers get paid for it. It's pure business and a kind of employment. The ones who donate their biomaterial get a reward for it. Be it blood donors or someone else, blood donations are regulated more stringently. Donors even get days off and a small remuneration in some countries. For instance, the Europeans earn up to 120 euros per a blood dose and so on. Anyway, they are somehow rewarded for it. Still, blood is nowhere near sex cells in terms of the value and the potential aftermath of donations. I would also like to point out a case in this regard. It is related to case law which is applicable in some countries. Once a British couple applied for surrogacy because the woman could not bear a child on her own. Eventually, they performed it in California, the USA, due to legislative restrictions in the UK. An embryo was cultured from their gametes and born by a surrogate mother. The child was registered in the USA. When they came back to the UK, they realized at a certain point, perhaps when the child got older, much older, they realized that the child was virtually not theirs in accordance with the national law. Thus, they had to set a precedent. In fact, they adopted this grown-up child who was even over 18. According to the UK legislation, it takes 6 months to acknowledge paternity and maternity and enter these data in the corresponding archives. Incidentally, I was told about a situation that took place in Germany. People were on the verge of a scandal. Evidently, journalists tend to add fuel to the fire, stating that children are really eager to get acquainted with their fathers. They embark on a journalistic investigation, sparking off lots of conflicts of both parties. But it seems to me that the legal aspect is to be elaborated. Well, it's time to determine the type of a donation, to figure out whether it is anonymous or not, whether it is reimbursable or not. Obviously, this should be set in stone. It is aimed at donors' protection. If a person donates their biomaterial for a reward, they shouldn't be affected by legal implications for their offspring. Indeed, they donate it for a particular couple that is liable for being the offspring's parents. It is notched up in our legislation. We wonder if it is being put into practice. The Russian legislation is currently at the cutting edge in terms of donations. Now, these points are outlined in an explicit manner. It distinguishes anonymous donations from non-anonymous ones. There are no maternity challenges in the latter cases because a partner and and a donor are clearly discerned, maybe all these items have to be documented in specific reproductive law. It will definitely rule out any negative landmark cases in our country. The law ought not to be interpreted ambiguously. It should stipulate conspicuously what is allowed and what is forbidden to do.